Evening, everyone. Evening. At the moment, it's just me and Shane. Normski may be joining us, and Anthony may be joining us. But we're going to have a talk about the great run of the '89 season, the big one, the one that really was one of the most amazing seasons for several reasons. To be honest, it was quite something spectacular. And Shane, how you doing, my friend?
Yeah, all good. Looking forward to this. It is really I don't think the younger fans who see the Aguero goal really recognise how close this was when you put into perspective where both teams were, that they were both challenging the history of Liverpool at Anfield and stuff like that. That it was just it mathematically, I don't think it can ever be beaten. It can only be equaled, and that would take a massive set of circumstances. And it was just a magical moment. It was one of those, I was quite young, but for the people that really, really lived it, it's just one of those things that never leaves. It's one of those. It's what football's about. And it's one of those things that if you saw it in a movie and it hadn't happened, you go, well, that's ridiculous. It's never going to happen. You know what I mean? It was that sort of magical. But I'm looking forward to it because, it's always nice to look back on Arsenal when they were classy and when they had a bit of something about them, and remember times when we were a different club. But yeah, thanks for having me on, and big up to everybody in the chat. And looking forward to it, man. Looking forward to it.
No, pleasure, man. It's always a pleasure. Big up, Gracie May. Haven't seen you for a long time. It's about time you came back on the channel, Gracie. Hope you're well. Hope everything's going good. Here's Normski. Big up, Normski. Normski's here. Big up, man.
How you doing, guys? You right?
Big up, guys.
You are. We literally only just started, mate. Literally.
Okay.
Yeah, all goods, Gracie, mate. I hope you're well. I have to get you on soon because it's been way too long. Big up to Promise. As I said, Normski, we're going to talk about the '89 running season, if you want to call it that way, which was quite something, really, that season. I mean, let's get it started. I mean, season started. Nice little away win, 5-1 against Wimbledon. Smith scores a hat-trick. Could be a better start, really. So it was, when you think about it, we went on an 11-game unbeaten run. And it all looked very favourable. Liverpool were there or thereabouts, and it was pretty clear there was a two-horse race. A lot of other teams were falling away. I mean, this is the year that Newcastle and West Ham got relegated, along with, I think it was Middlesbrough. Was it Middlesbrough? I think it was Middlesbrough.
Yeah.
Shane, you couldn't have got a better start, could you? 5-1 away at Wimbledon. Nice little hat trick. And then, who was it? Merson and Morrow, was it? Merson and Morrow scored the other two. I can't remember now. I was at the game. I should know. I can't remember all the games. It's too long ago.
Yeah, Wimbledon away, wasn't it? Wimbledon away, which is always a tough place to go to.
Yeah. Oh, Gracie's a teacher now. Big up, Gracie. But it was an amazing start. George Graham, our captain back then, Tony Adams, iconic man. And we went on, and it was just a fantastic run. I mean, it was exciting times, man, wasn't it?
Yeah, and when people, they have to realise as well that maybe the current Arsenal fans now might, with the 21-year gap, there was an 18-year gap at this point, that dragged on. But of course, George Graham had won the League Cup a few years before, coming in, showing that he's got that winning mentality, carried himself with a bit of class, had started the job, as Kenny said the last time we were doing this, Jez, which I just thought was amazing, that I'm here to reawaken the sleeping giant. I mean, you love when managers come in and say stuff like that. You love when managers come in and say, this is what we're going to do. And people need to remember as well that a lot of the defence were new in the door. They only had a year or so to settle in with the Dixons and the Winterburns and the people like that had come in. He had fixed the defence. Tony Adams was still young, but he was the main guy. And there was a lot of Arsenal kids in that team. But to start with the 5-1 win, Smudger banging in a hat trick. I think we might have lost the second game and maybe even the fifth, but then went on a 6-7 game winning run. And people need to remember as well that Arsenal weren't considered really going into it as title challengers before in the summer. Liverpool were dominant. We were seen as the outsiders, and it was us against them and all of that sort of stuff. But it was a great start. It was a great start. After that there was a little sort of hiccup. I think I'm nearly sure it was the second game, and then it picked up. But George Graham had a habit of that. He had a habit of that of galvanizing a team to go on those runs. Mourinho would have been one of those in the later years that just made it us against them. You know, everybody hates us. They think we're boring. Let's get them. You know what I mean? And it's us against them, and every game is big. But we also need to remember that Wimbledon away was never nice. And that's been a banana skin for Arsenal in the years that followed. We lost there a couple of times. I remember Vinnie Jones scoring. That might even be victory. But to go there 5-1, it lays down a marker, doesn't it? The opening game. That's when the fixtures come out. When you look at that and you go, Wimbledon away, first game. Good God. You know what I mean? That's not a pretty one to get. So to go there and smash them was nice. And it was you could see as the season went on, it was a culmination of the newer players mixing with the players that have been around the block and really settling perfectly. And it was a wonderful start. And you know, like you said, pretty quickly it became clear it was a 2-horse race. Became very clear that it was a 2-horse race. Obviously, we'll get into it later in the season when it could have been a disaster. But yeah, it was a great start, a wonderful start.
Yeah, I mean, Normski, you know, we've been through the loops in the previous season. Let's get it right. And this, don't forget, we did have a massive squad. And we only had 2 substitutes in this point in time of Division 1. And what this team achieved in reality was quite exceptional, and which we'll get through that as we go through this. But Normski, give us your recollection of the start of that season, because I certainly wasn't expecting a start like that. Not really. I mean, we had some great players.
Yeah. When you look at the team, I mean, yeah. No, just saying, you had the likes of, like, that's what I'm saying. You had the likes of Lee Dixon and Roll Castle. Big up to him. And by the way, he's born the same year as me. Yeah, 67 baby. So
really?
Okay. Yeah, 1967 baby, and obviously we lost him in 2001. So you know what I mean. But I mean the team. I just said it was a small squad because I think we only had I think it was 2 substitutes. Was it 2 substitutes?
17 players, I think.
Yeah. And then, you know, the game of 2 substitutes. But I think, you know, with us having that sort of a saleable, 11-point lead, you're thinking, well, this is, I think, to the year before, you got to remember, Liverpool was dominating.
Yeah.
You know, you know what I mean? And you never ever thought that we would be able, and we had won the league for, I think, 18, was it 18 years?
18 years.
18 years. We won the league for 18 years. So, I think going into that game to get that great start, and remember coming off the back of Liverpool winning it the season before, you're thinking, right, this is going to be a daunting task and everything. I mean, she's obviously, if you don't know, she's a Liverpool supporter. Do you know what I mean? And I met her in '86. Yeah, you know what I mean. So I had to try and sort out the allegiance. Yeah, but she wasn't having it. she won't have it. And just give you a little fun fact. Yeah, I think I might have said it before. When I started, I mean, I was about 4 or 5 when we started supporting Arsenal, right? Same time, because I didn't know her then, yeah, because she's from the Midlands. And the game where we beat them, we were done the cup double in 71, and they were playing in their blue and yellow strip, you know, the old blue collar and yellow strip. And I remember because back then, you know, I mean, to get my sister, I remember talking to my sister about this. She goes, because we wasn't allowed a colour TV in our house. We were just, you know, we didn't have a colour TV. So to actually see it watching it, and I just kind of sort of fell in love with this team, you know what I mean? But it was only sort of through my later life, as I got older, and you know, you're in school, you start swapping cards and start getting a little bit more to know about the football. That's when you kind of get an idea of who's what and whatnot. But I think I just kind of fell in love because I think I just like the colour of the shirt. And the fact that we beat Liverpool, you know what I mean? And to see Emily News crying his eyeballs out, that was like a pleasure for me. You know what I mean? But I just say, yeah, going to that, as I say, going back to that 89 season, yeah, you're thinking to yourself, you know, when you talk about it and when you sort of go further down, where we had that 11-point lead, and you're thinking, geez, man, we started to lose games, draw games and that, and Liverpool stuck because they didn't have a great start. You know what I mean? They didn't have a great start, and then they started to come back into it, and you're just thinking, a team that knows how to. It's a bit like Man City, a team that knows how to win. Do you know what I mean? And if you sort of look at the comparison to us now, where when we was 8 points ahead of Man City, and then we bottled it, I was just thinking, are we going to bottle? Well, to a degree, we almost did, because literally we had to go and do it on the last day. But I know we are gonna get to that. But yeah, no, I mean Wimbledon, when you're up against people like Billy Jones, bro. Yeah, I mean, no, mate. Yeah, they didn't take no prisoners. What's his name? What's the two? Well, the brother used to play for him, the karate guy.
John Fashanu.
Yeah, I call him the Karate Kid.
John Fashanu. John Fashanu.
Yeah, John Fashanu.
He was nasty.
He was a nasty piece of work. But it was that year. And I remember because we only had about 6 channels, and it was I think it was like on ITV.
On a Friday night.
Friday night called a match, and Jez, did you go to the game?
Yeah, I was there, mate.
Yeah, right, okay. So you're fortunate. I had to watch it on TV. So lovely jubbly. You know what I mean? You was there. But obviously, Jez, there were certain people that said they were there, but you know what I mean? We just go for a court of law for that one.
Normski, there was, if you listen to certain channels, there's like 80,000 at that game. It's quite funny, really, because I've spoken to many people on. I haven't actually spoken to them. One of them I did. One, a lady, I can't even think of her name now, on her channel, and I actually said to her about that game, the Anfield game, and I said, "Oh, you were there?" She said, "Yeah, I got given a bunch of flowers." I thought, now I know you're lying, because the Arsenal team.
Yeah, they gave out single roses, wasn't it? It was single roses they gave out.
I can't remember, mate, but
no, it was from what I remember, because I remember not the actual game, because obviously when you're playing great matter goals, you know what I mean, you have to go and watch the games again. But they came out as a gesture, because you remember what happened that same year with
the players came out on the pitch.
Yeah, the players came out and gave out like individual roses to people, that's what you call a classy club. Those days were classy. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And so for them to come out and do that, and
with everything that's riding on it and stuff like that.
Everything riding on it, and you know what I mean, to now go and score, because remember Liverpool, I think in the last 3 or 4 years, I think they were saying that they're letting more than 1 goal. So
they hadn't lost by 2. They hadn't lost by 2.
That's right. So so you had that to deal with as well. And remember Liverpool, they were free flowing. They were playing free flowing football. So they were used. When I used to watch them, they were beating everybody. Do you know what I mean? And Arsenal was known as
they were the team.
1-0 to the Arsenal. But listen, George Graham, what I liked about him, he was able to do the tactics and swap it up. You know, when he went with a 5-4-1. You know what I mean? Defensive. And you're thinking, all right, okay, just go there, and at some point try and hit him on the break. And as you're watching the game, it turns out it was very kind of like cagey. You know what I mean? Didn't expect, because you thought Liverpool were going to come out and come up there, but funny enough, they didn't. They were quite cagey themselves. So yeah,
it was the pressure. We had let Kenny Sampson go the summer leading up to that season as well, didn't he? George Graham let Kenny Sampson go. Yeah, so it was ballsy. It was ballsy. He wasn't afraid to take a chance.
No, I mean he let go. He let go. I mean, he even let go of Rocastle as well. So you know, I mean, obviously, fans were too pleased about that. But
it was always a strange move. That I always thought that was an odd one, man.
Yeah,
big up,
but
man.
He turned around and said it's something to do with he had a problem with his knee or something like that. But I mean, fans weren't having that, because he was a real legend. Yeah, Rocastle was definitely a legend for Arsenal.
He didn't mess around.
Absolutely. I mean, when you think how this season set up, man, we played Liverpool in the League Cup and drew 1-1, so we had to go to a replay, and That didn't go well. We lost 2-1. Merson scored the only goal for us. So that was us out the League Cup. And when you think of that Liverpool team under Dalglish, right? They'd already won a double with Dalglish, right? And they were a phenomenal team. And we got to remember that we'd had a shit time going to Anfield when we look at what happened with that game. We hadn't won at Anfield since 1974. But the team had this. I don't know. It was one of them things with Arsenal that we just ground the results out. We ground it out, and the thing is that situation. We were supposed to play Liverpool on the April the 23rd, but that clashed with their semi-final at Hillsborough with Nottingham Forest. Great team in the day. And we all know what happened there. Unfortunately, 96 Liverpool fans lost their life. But previous to that, we'd gone on that unbeaten, but then we started to drop down the hill a bit. And it was like here we go. Wheels are coming off.
Yep.
You know, we've done well under Jules Graham, but I thought, here we go. You know, we're just haven't quite got that finish. I mean, Derby County were in the mix there. You know, they beat us 2-1 away. And you're thinking...
The win draw.
Yeah, 2-2.
It was like, great start. But we, again, typical Arsenal, can't finish our dinner. As you said, man. You said, we've done it so many times recently. You know, we get there, but we can't get over the bloody finish line. I thought, here we go again. Here we go. And it was the classic, wasn't it? As you just said, Normski, 1-0 to the Arsenal, or it was also that year 1-1 because there was a lot of draws coming out, and that allowed coming to Christmas.
Yeah, we had a few nil-nil draws. We had a few nil-nil draws. Millwall, Luton, Coventry City, Queen's Park.
Drew at home to Liverpool in December as well, didn't we? We drew at home to Liverpool in December.
Yeah, was that 1-1? No, nil. No, that was nil.
No, I think we drew 1-1 with Liverpool, and then we drew 0-0 with Norwich the next game. I think there was 2 draws in a row around December where we drew 1-1 with Liverpool, and then we drew 0-0 with Norwich. But the last sort of 10 games, there was only 2 or 3 wins in there. It was a real.
You're right. You're right. Yeah.
When Normski compared it to the Man City year, the 22-23, when we could feel them coming back. That's the difference between a world-class manager and a rookie. That the world-class manager got the team over the line where the rookie fell apart.
But Shane, how dare AFTV or that muted channel down the road turn around and say that, you know, there's a better era under Arteta than it is under
George
what we're dealing with. The difference with this guy was that he knew how to get it over the line.
Yeah,
and he in terms of his trophy haul, he eclipses Arteta. Do you know what I mean? So don't even country mile.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, as Paris Mandem says, we drew 1-1 with the mighty Liverpool that season at Highbury. But it was notable to me, right, that we just didn't seem to have the final spark to finish it off. You know, we were playing, I wouldn't say it was pretty football, but it was, how can I describe it? It was a little bit
clinical.
Yeah, that's the term. That's well said. That is it. Well said. It was clinical. But the thing is, I started to have my doubts because when we started to get into December, you know, which is an important time of year in any football season, because that is, I've always thought, right, and I don't know if you, Shane and Normski, agree with me on this, Christmas time is pretty much the middle battle, right?
Yeah.
And that is where seasons are won or lost.
Yeah.
And we've done it so many times as Arsenal under Wenger. Do you remember? We'd be brilliant up to Christmas, and then we'd fall off.
What did we used to
fall away?
What did we used to call it? We used to call it the There was a term that we used to say when we used to get to November, December. We used to call it the Christmas.
Yeah, I remember.
Christmas wobble or something, was it?
Wobble, it was something wobble, something itch or something.
Like Christmas wobble or something.
Christmas wobble. Anytime you said, what we used to say to ourselves, if we get through that, then we could be on the course or something. Do you know what I mean? But under Wenger, that happened quite a lot, mate. I don't know what it was.
Because in that December, January, it was the draws that killed us. That season, there was a lot of draws, and then I think it was February when we started. Then the loses, the draws became losses, and there was just little speckles of win, and you think we're about to go again, and then you'd end up drawing a silly game. I think there was a 0-0 at home to Millwall, and you're thinking, right, I think we'd beaten someone before that. I could be wrong. It might have been Luton. We might have beat before that, and then we drew with Millwall. You think, right, we beat Luton. That could be the end of the bad run, and then you draw, and then lose and draw and win. And
did we lose?
They couldn't get it going again. And
did we lose to Nottingham Forest?
Might have lost to Forest at home. I think was it at home?
Yeah, we lost. Yeah, lost at home 3-1.
3-1.
Yeah, I think that was after the Luton game, the Millwall game. We drew. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. So it did look like it was falling apart. It really did look like, because it was an 11-point gap at some stage, Jez, wasn't there? Wasn't there an 11 point
that's what it was. It was an 11-point gap. We had an 11-point gap. And
we'd beaten Man United 2-1 in December.
Yeah.
Right. And I thought, okay. A team that, they're on the upsurge. Let's get it right. And we beat them. And then it all started like, we beat Charlton Athletic.
There was a little mini winning run, wasn't there? Yeah.
Yeah, and then we beat them 3-0, and then it was Tottenham beat them 2-0, and then West Ham. It was in the FA Cup, which I always thought was so disappointing. That FA Cup against West Ham was so bloody disappointing in the fact that we were winning it 2-1, drew 2-2, and then we had the replay and lost 1-0.
Yeah.
West Ham again.
The small squad has to come into it there, though, Jez, doesn't it? With all with 17 players going into all those competitions. I know people had smaller squads then, but that was particularly small. And I could be wrong, but I think the likes of Niall Quinn only made 2 appearances, so you could nearly trim that down to a squad of 15 with the players that didn't really play. If you tried to do that today, you'd fall apart. You know what I mean? The players wouldn't be able to handle it. So when you think of the cups, and then the replays just went on and on. It went on and on. You know what I mean? It just replay after replay. I think Leeds before it went to a 4th or 5th replay, didn't it? Around the 90s, I think we played them one time. Crazy amount of replays.
The Sheffield Wednesday one. Do you remember that one?
The Wednesday,
yeah.
Replays.
That was Jack Charlton, Sheffield Wednesday, wasn't it? When Jack Charlton, Sheffield Wednesday manager then? Yeah. Yeah. So it wasn't an easy game. A Jack Charlton team, you'd be coming out of that with a few bruises as well, and your head would hurt from the step end and all the long balls. But that December run, Jez, of the 5 wins in a row, that was impressive when we had started to draw a few, to be able to pull it together. Because who did we say we beat in that? We beat Man United. We beat Tottenham. Did we beat Tottenham? We did. We beat Tottenham. Didn't we beat? Yeah, you said Villa. Everton. And Everton were no mugs back then either, man. You know what I mean? Everton were one of the big teams. So that was an exceptional run in December. I think it was more the January, February then when it started to really wobble, draw after draw, little losses here and there.
Sheffield Wednesday, we drew 1-1 away. And then it's capitulated when we drew the Sheffield Wednesday at home, beat West Ham 2-1, and then it started to go a little bit rocky. Beat Millwall 0-0 against QPR. Should have battered them, man. Then we lost to Coventry City,
one of our old Burnley teams,
1-0
away. And then it was basically beat Luton Town, drew 0-0 with Millwall, as you guys just said. But it just didn't seem to have... It was starting to get to the point where Liverpool now, as Lucas Starkiller says here, Liverpool was 6th going into 89. 24 match unbeaten run until that fateful night.
Well, when you put it in like that,
you know, I mean, that was an incredible situation. But it as it moved on, I mean, you know, the horrible 23rd of April came about, you know, the semi-final at Hillsborough, and our game was moved to the last game of the season, which was quite a fateful thing, really. But the horrible thing that happened to Hillsborough, 96 Liverpool fans losing their lives, it's horrendous. I mean, we've all seen the footage of it. I can't imagine.
I remember that.
I mean, I've been crushes at games, and it's not a nice feeling. It's horrible. You literally like.
Yeah, I've had it at concerts. It really is. It's
not nice. And
I mean, was it? I mean, eventually, was it down to the police that sort of made the wrong call in terms of opening up the exits and that? They all sort of flooded in, and then I think you saw, because I remember
it was apparent. I mean, from what I've seen, read, been told, they opened up the gates and there was a mad rush.
It
was so that game was so. It's always going to be oversubscribed. Personally, I think they chose the wrong ground.
But the thing is, the thing about it is just that I think what I understood. I was talking to someone today about it. He was telling me about it, funny enough. And he said, like, what had happened? The police had asked, because they were 20 minutes into the game, and I think they'd asked for the game to be stopped. The authorities had asked for the game to be stopped, and I don't know whether some of them scored or whatever it was, and the roar of the crowd, and that got them excited. So they started to push in, and in the end, the police had to make a decision to open up I think it was the exit doors, because they noticed that not all the Liverpool fans were in the stadium. And again, it was several, you know, because back in those days, up until I don't even know when we used to play at neutral grounds. And nowadays, you play a semi-final at Wembley. They should go back to play them at neutral grounds. You know what I'm trying to say?
You got that.
You got what you say, bro. Yeah. So you know, it's so it's just unfortunate, and I mean, I think the case went on up until around about 2016. They were still investigating it and all that.
Oh yeah, it went on for years and years, didn't it? I mean, I think, you know, from the unfortunate thing about it was they didn't open the emergency gates quick enough. And some of the official footage you see about, you can see people pressed up against the fencing, and it was bloody horrendous, man. Big up Anthony, man. We just get into we're talking about the 23rd of April Forest Liverpool FA Cup semi-final. I mean, personally, I don't think the ground was big enough for the crowd. It should have been somewhere like Old Trafford. Hillsborough was classic, bit like the Villa ground, Villa Park, always used for semi-finals. You know, I've been to many semi-finals there with Arsenal, but I think that was just an awful situation to be in. But Anthony, how you doing, my friend?
I'm not too bad. Yes. I'm okay. You right, Shane? You right, Normski?
Good. Yeah, good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it was a horrible day out, and of course our game has been moved because of that to the end of the season, which is a bit of an unprecedented situation. Of course, what happened then was Liverpool didn't play any football for a considerable period of time, so Arsenal now had the opportunity to stretch their lead. As we remember, but we didn't quite really push it on, and we're out of the FA Cup. Obviously, we're out of the League Cup. So all we've got now is the Division 1 title, but we didn't really. How can I put it? It was almost like we were very lackluster. I mean, you remember it? It was didn't really kick it on, did we?
No, we didn't. No. You know, there was times where within this season we kept hitting like a slump, you know, and I mean, I'll be honest with you now. this season here, I'm going to be honest with you. I was 10 years old. Right, I was 10, so obviously I got a track back in that sort of thing. But I mean, don't get me wrong. It's one of the best seasons, in my opinion, that we've had. You know, the 89 season, that is that by far. But it's like, obviously, the round up to the games. I mean, as I caught what Shane was saying, come December, it sort of wasn't that bad, but there was games there that were, in the mix that we kept losing, sort of thing. So, but yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, if I remember correctly, I didn't even think we didn't even have a full squad then, did we? Like you got like a squad of 25 players or anything like that. We had like 18,
17.
Was it 17?
Yeah,
17. So there you go. So but I mean the lads they did play well that season. They got stuck in. I can remember this was like watching it on telly. Crowd still shouting out against us. We were the boring Arsenal, So. But I mean, look, George Graham had his own ways, his own style, his own philosophy, and the players abide by that, and that's what made them play well, obviously when we won this league. So,
Well, if you look at that squad, right, I'll read it out here. We had Tony Adams, Steve Bold, Gus Caesar, mainly a substitute, Paul Davis, Lee Dixon, Perry Groves, Martin Hayes, John Lukic, Brian Marwood, Paul Merson, David O'Leary, Niall Quinn, Kevin Richardson, legend, David Rocastle, Alan Smith, Michael Thomas, and Nigel Whitford.
Yeah.
I mean, good players. I mean, I didn't think much of Gus Caesar, to be honest. But
again, Quinny only made a couple of appearances.
And we only had 2 subs a game.
Yeah.
We only had 2 subs a game. We didn't see back then, did we? Players pulling their hamstrings like we see now. So I don't know what it's all about. I mean, all right, people argue it's more of a far-paced game.
Yeah.
Players are going to get stressed. They're going to get injured more easily. But then again, I counter that by saying these players are fitter, if you want, than these players were in the day. We don't forget we had the Tuesday club here. Yeah. Right? We had the Tuesday club. Yeah. Going out on the piss. Yeah. Certain players smoking. And I wouldn't have said their diets are anywhere near the level of the
fry-ups in the morning of the game. Like, you know what I mean? Have a nice fry-up in the morning of the game.
Wasn't Paul, they did do them any harm, did it? I mean,
no, it didn't. No.
That was also
smoking, drinking, fry-ups. Yeah. It would surprise me if they went round the bloody local chippy down the road.
They would have. They would have. Yeah. Fish and chips on a Friday night. But that season wasn't that season with the 1-1 draw at United at Old Trafford when Tony Adams scored at both ends. Wasn't that when the Daily Mail put out the donkey-eared photo? Wasn't it? That's when they started the donkey thing for Tony Adams. Was after that 1-1. When the papers used to be horrific for stuff like that. They did a picture of him with donkey ears, and that's where that all started. And that really affected him, apparently. But it drove him on to prove everybody wrong. But there was some moments in that season where you definitely thought, okay, this is the same old Arsenal. We're going to throw this away. We're going to throw this away. And as Jez said, with the Liverpool run at the end, the juggernaut run, the 21 unbeaten, the awful thing that happened to Hillsborough, driving them on, then when you get your games in hand, or well, not even in hand, you're going to leave them games in hand, but when you play while they're not playing and not taking advantage. And the Hillsborough thing, although it drove them on, I think that knocked the stuffing out of Kenny Dalglish for a long time. I don't think he ever really got over that. That really affected Kenny Dalglish because he went to all the funerals, didn't he? I think he went to pretty much every funeral. Yeah. So it would have taken it out of him. But Liverpool, like as we said, and Normski rightly compared it to the Man City of now when they've won nearly every league, and you know that they're going to go on this run. So Arsenal must have felt it every time they slipped up or drew or lost. Going, no, these are going to catch us. I know they're going to catch us, and they just keep winning and winning and winning. And near the end, then there was that 5-1 they got, wasn't it? That's what threw it all into kilter because it made us have to win by 2, wasn't it? That they beat.
Yeah, they beat. Was it West Ham? West Ham or Coventry?
West Ham. Yeah, they smashed them. Yeah, But yeah, there was so many ups and downs, and with 11 points clear, where have we seen that before? We've seen that we've played that story out, and you would think though in that sort of January December run when it looked like we got it back when we won the 5 in a row, 5 tough games with Everton and Tottenham and stuff like that, and then it went off again, it went off the rails again. But yeah, what a season though. When I'm sure we'll obviously get to the way it finished, but like I said at the start to Jez, I don't think the young fans who saw Aguero's really realise how close it can get. You know what I mean? How close it can get.
I mean, Liverpool ended up 19 points behind. You know what I mean? And they then went 20. At one point they were 1 point. They were 19 points behind Arsenal.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden, 24 games unbeaten, pulled it up. Tragedy, absolute tragedy.
All of that in there, yeah.
How the players recovered from seeing those horrendous scenes, and the fan base rallied. We didn't push it on enough as we should have done, but we then get down to the fact it comes down to that iconic game. We're now behind Liverpool, and don't forget how this works out, because I always find this amazing. It comes down to the amazing game. We've lost to Derby County 2-1, right? We've then 2-2 draw with Wimbledon, which was a bit of a shit show. And then we have to go to Anfield. Now, my personal experience with that was I wasn't confident going there. Not a lot of many fans were. We hadn't won there since 1974. 15 years we hadn't won at Anfield. And we've got to go there and beat them by 2 clear goals. And that is not, remember, it was not down to goal difference. It was goals scored.
Yeah.
It was going to come down goals scored. Shane, I mean, I'll come to you, the Normski and Andy, get your views on this, because when I was looking at this, I remember reading in the paper the day before saying, oh, Christ, we've got to go Anfield and win this game. And don't forget, Liverpool are going for their second double in 4 years.
Exactly, because they just beat Everton. So they were going into that game. They were going into that game confident, like to say, right, we want to go and do a double. I can't remember who was talking about it on the documentary. I was watching a documentary, and they were saying that they wanted to do it for the fans, go and do another double, and that. But well, Arsenal had something to say about that.
Shane, I mean, what Liverpool did was quite exceptional after what had happened to them as a club. I mean, dear God, Liverpool have some bad luck, don't they? Come on. And Christ, what happened last week was devastating. Yeah. And they've had some bad times, man. They've had some pretty bad times. And yet they rallied. Great manager, great Kenny Dalglish. Can't knock it. Won a double. They're now going for their second double. The chances, let's be honest, Shane, the chances of Arsenal winning that game were, to me, bloody remote. And I thought, we'll go, and I can't see us walking out with that Division 1 title. But what was your view on that, my friend?
Yeah, it was. And Liverpool, like you said, to rally from that, they were in the middle of a great run, and then to push through it, to even stretch the run further, to do it for the fans and all that. It kind of made it feel even more like there's no way Arsenal to do it when you took away the fact that Liverpool, I think they hadn't lost by 2 at Anfield in 4 years or something like that. We were saying there was some mad run that they hadn't lost at home by 2. So even if we had just had to beat them, you would have gone in with a bit more confidence. But the fact that you had to beat them by 2, it just made it that much different. And George Graham was a genius in saying to the players, get it in 0-0 at half time. He didn't tell them to come out of the blocks and score, because it was clever to, if you take the lead then in the second half, they don't know whether to stick or twist. If you take the lead in the first half, they go in at half time and say, regroup and say, right, let's go out there and smash them. Let's put them out of sight before they score another one. To hit them when they don't have time to go in at half time and talk it out. It was absolutely genius. And he changed the formation several times in that match. Mid-match, moved it around when he saw what was happening. George Graham is a much better tactician than people give him credit for. You saw that mostly in Europe, which he really adored Europe. He loved going to Europe and he loved the battle of wits with these foreign coaches and stuff like that and change of formations and moving players around. But when he went into that game, it was just genius to do that. He could obviously, whether we covered that there are some players on the team showed their class by bringing out the flowers and stuff like that and saying, look, there's things that are bigger than football, but now let's play a match. And there was so many things that fell into place. John Barnes should have ran it into the corner. You know what I mean? He should have stayed in the corner. There's things like that. The ball falling to anybody but who it did for the winner. That had the composure. How he didn't smack it. How he didn't swing a leg at that ball.
Shane, we're talking like two. I think it's something like 2 minutes. Because remember, who's it? Who's it?
Steve McMahon.
McMahon, like I'll say his name. He was sort of saying to them, like, he was sort of saying to them, listen,
you can see him.
We got 1 minute. 2 minutes. Waste time. They ended up wasting time, but to our advantage.
Yeah, exactly. They didn't have time.
Yeah, so John Barnes decides that he thinks he's going to try and go for goal. Richardson nicks it off of him, but it was the build up. It's the build up from there because he plays it because back then you could pick the ball up. He's rolled the ball back to Lukic. Lukic has then played it to Dixon.
Lee Dixon.
Yeah, Dixon has then landed it to Figgy, and this is all happening. And I think Alton was talking about it, saying, "I'm watching what's going on over there." I'm like thinking, "What's going on here?" Because remember, we really won it up from the free kick, and what's his name Smith knocking it in, right? And even then, there was talking about there's controversy regarding that goal. Because they were trying to say there was a foul. I think they were saying that David O'Leary or somebody pushed something.
And there was a big stop. There was a big pause for ages.
They all went around the referee. It was blah, blah, blah. The referee awarded the goal and everything. But going back to that. So you're thinking that against all the odds, you're now in injury time. You know, he's saying just slow the game down and whatever. And then the ball, I think, listening, when I watched it back over, Smith said he could see what's the name in his peripheral, and he's thought, well, I'm going to lay this in his path. And then it was a kind of case of, right, it's me up against Grobbler, you know what I mean? And then I think it was Nichols was saying he regrets not taking him out. I mean, but it is what it is, you know. It is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, Kevin Richardson is an absolute legend in that game. When he nicked that ball, it went out. Mickey Thomas got it, and we know the rest is history, Anthony. You know, I mean, it's an iconic. I don't think, to be honest, you're ever going to see a game of football like that to win a title at Anfield ever again. I mean, to go there and achieve that. I mean, be honest with you, I was on a mini coach, right? There was 12 of us, right? We made our own way up there, and none of us, I swear down, none of us, and even talking outside the ground, right, in Anfield Road End, none of it, nobody was that, it was a bit flat, to be honest. It was all a little bit, well, you know, we haven't won here for years and blah, 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 blah. But Anthony, I mean, from what you can remember, I mean, I'm sure you've watched that game so many times.
Yeah, I've watched it a few times, yeah.
It was iconic. It was absolutely unbelievable. I can honestly say to you, right, I've been in many great games, home and away at Highbury, great games. I went down about 6, 8 steps on the terrace, right, from the furore of seeing that goal go in. I always remember it, going down, big surge, back in the time. And I remember crashing into these 2 girls, 2 Arsenal fans, right? Didn't know them, no idea who they were.
No.
Never saw them before, never saw them since. But I remember crashing into them. And this one girl she was quite a big girl, and she just grabbed me and she was kissed me on the cheeks, and I was giving her a hug, and this other girl came up, and people were just going absolutely bloody mental. It was crazy, crazy, crazy. But Anthony, I mean, as a young kid watching that, right, and watching it back, give me your opinion how you felt when you saw that second goal, Mickey Thomas scoring that goal.
Oh well, it was just amazing. But the ball was just literally for there, and obviously with his right foot, just literally shot, and it went straight past Gobbler into the goal. But what I remember through the game as well is obviously what we've all touched on. We had to win that game 2-0. And if you remember, it was always Liverpool always played this in the 80s, right? It was always a passing combination. They can go over the halfway line and then they play it back to Bruce Gobbler. And you're like, flipping hell, do you know what I mean? And this what was frustrating, because obviously we gone 1-0 up with the header from Smudgy, right? And then you're there and you're thinking, right, what are you gonna do now? Because that was Liverpool's style of play. But it was obviously when we caught them on that counter attack, you know, and that goal by bloody Michael Thomas, it was unbelievable. The crowd. I mean, my uncle is an Arsenal fan. He was actually watching it, and he wasn't that confident. You know, I'll be honest with you. I mean, as me as a young little snapper, like, do you know what I mean? Like 10 years of age. But I mean, when you look back on it, I mean, you can tell, and like we've all touched on it, how much the game has changed. You know, the fans, you know, I think back then, don't get me wrong, I feel that the fans were more behind the team then than obviously what they are today. So you know, I mean, that's another point. But I mean, you look at it with George Graham. I mean, they never gave in. They stuck on there. I mean, I believe Kevin Richardson. He had I think he got booked in that game, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, so you can tell when we was that 1-0 up, waiting for that second goal to come. And what we were doing, you know, we were getting stuck in. I think there was another. I think two of our players got bookings. I can't remember who got the other booking. I know Rocastle, yeah. See now what a player he was, Rocastle. You know, he was getting stuck in as well. But all I remember is like when seeing obviously winning 2-0, and then obviously Arsenal holding up that trophy. I mean that was great for me. And I'll be honest with you, even though Michael Thomas obviously got the winner, but something in that game sticks out for me was, I think it was Smudgy, because even though we scored the first goal, but you got to think in that time,
division,
in '89, I believe Smudgy was in his peak then. He was in the peak of his career. I think he was 25, maybe
25 goals that season, I think.
Yeah,
25.
So he was really high up in that, in that year, in that season. So. But yeah, I mean, listen, I mean, it's nice to talk about, but it's a shame we can't really talk about, you know, of now. Yeah.
I think you've hit on a great point there. I'm going to ask you this one, Shane. Right.
Yeah.
Football has changed so much since those years, in the fact that fans to me now are of a different ilk. The fans that I remember in my days were nothing like what I see now. In that, I'm not saying this is everyone, so don't go and say I'm saying this is about every fan, Arsenal fan. But there's so many fake fans out there. They're not real football fans.
Yeah,
they're just on there to be a part of a party. Oh well, I've seen big YouTubers say it, and I actually had a row online. I think it was on Dan Potts with one of these guys, big journo fella. He said, "Oh, I go to meet up with friends." Well, you can meet your fucking friends down the pub, man.
Yeah.
Meet them down the road. Yeah, I go down my local, not every day, but I go down it, and I meet up with people. And I have a drink. Well, you know, I've met new people here in France, right? And I got to know people, and we do go up in the afternoon, have a little drink, right, and have a chat with people. That's where I talk to people about. I swear down, I haven't spoken to one person here about football.
No.
Not one. And I know there's people. Most of the people around here are Lyonnais fans because Lyon's a big team down the road. But I haven't talked about football. And I don't want to talk about football on here, obviously, 'cause I'm talking to you great people. But to me, Shane, nowadays, right, football is not what I'm trying to say here. I'm going around the bush. I'm going to shut up. Is it's become not the working class man's game.
Yeah.
It's become so expensive, right? And to a lot of people, it's unaffordable now.
Yeah.
You know, a ticket, 80 quid, right?
If you're lucky, yeah.
My first season ticket in 1976, right, was £32 for a season.
You get a burger for that now, isn't it?
That's about a burger of beer would cost about that, yeah.
Please, I want to get your guys' opinion on this. It winds me up. It is no longer a working class man's game, is it?
No, and listen, this is a sore subject with me. This is a very sore subject with me. And I don't want to be classist and say, oh, yeah, look, this is our thing. You posh boys, you piss off. This isn't yours. You go watch rugby. And anybody can watch it, right? Anybody can watch it. And anybody can be a fan. I had someone in my chat today saying, oh, look at this Paddy, you know, supporting an English team. And I was like, yeah, whatever, mate. You know what I mean? That's it. You know, I level someone. I rate someone's, you know, passion for a club. You can talk to them for 5-10 minutes about their club and you'll know if they're a passionate fan or not. You'll know straight away if they're a passionate fan or not. Just not by what they say, not by if they know a ton about the club, by the way they talk about them, by how you can see them after a bad result.
Yeah.
If you look at the spokespeople that are out there for us now, the Semius, right, the Cantons, the Moneypennies, these upper class condescending idiots, man. Who Moneypenny's already admitted he supported United as a kid, right? He admitted on camera he supported United as a kid. For me, that's sacrilege. I don't care what age you are. When you're young and you start supporting the club, that's when it sticks. That's when you become the most passionate fan. But the modern day fan, yeah, it's all about meeting up. It's all about selfies. It's all about, and we're the worst for it. You see, Liverpool isn't like that. Liverpool's Newcastle aren't like that. Everton aren't like that. It's Arsenal are the front runners in this new age fan. This new age fan. You said before, Jezza, watching AFTV, and there was some prat with a red cowboy hat on outside the ground. Like, you know what I mean? But I'm not one for this. Oh, do what you dress how you want to dress. But this is the football, mate. The football fan has changed, definitely with the money. But the working class fans always found a way to pay for it anyway, because it was their release at the weekend. And the football was a lot more tribal back then. It was a lot more tribal. When people wanted a manager out, the whole fan base turned. It wasn't split. Now it's split because there's people with the different types of people, and there's these guys that want Arteta kept in for all the wrong reasons. You know what I mean? So the football fan has completely changed. One of my biggest pleasures in life is watching the official World Cup films of 86, of 82, of 78, because it's a different sport. It's like a different sport now. It's really like when it comes to the rules, the way it's played, but mainly the fans, the way it's packaged, all of that stuff. It's not the same. It's not as tribal as it was. And that was the release for everybody. That's what it was. You're working all week, and you go and you watch the football with your mates, and you get it all out. And win, lose or draw, you're all together. You know, you're all together, and you stand together. And there's something beautiful about that. Look, yes, I agree that it's nicer now that families can go, women can go, kids can go. They're not sort of, you know, but it's definitely lost something. The prices are outrageous, and the media dictate the standards that your club should be at. You know what I mean? Back in the day, the fans decided, no, we're the Arsenal. This isn't good enough. Now the media just keep telling everybody over and over again that Arsenal fans should enjoy the journey. Arsenal fans should be happy with second. Arsenal fans, stop telling me how I should feel. I hate when people tell me how I should feel. Don't tell me how I should feel about my club. So when I get people coming into my chat and saying, oh, yeah, look at this Paddy supporting an English, I support it. I haven't even met the guy that wrote it. I can promise you that this club means more to me than it does to him. I don't even know him. But there's not many. And only the good people I've met through this, like Normski and yourself and Darren and people like that I've met that I can go, right, well, these are on my level of passion for the club. about 99% of fans aren't like us, especially nowadays. About 99% of fans aren't like us. Sadly, because it's 99% of them, but they're the winning vote all the time because there's so many of them. So they get to lower the standards and they get to keep the standards low and they get to go in and buy a £140 jersey where I wouldn't go near it. I wouldn't give them the money. But these people will. So they keep doing it. And it's a democracy. And sadly, we are the minority now. We're the real fans and we're the minority. And these pricks that go on about second place is fine and journey's fine and, oh, I'm enjoying it, we're competing and all that. They're not the ones that suffer. Because I always say that we're the ones that take it home with us. When Arsenal lose, it hurts me for a couple of days. You know what I mean? When things go wrong in my club, it annoys me. It gets to me. It affects my day. These guys, as soon as they leave the stadium, it's gone. They don't care. They're gone. They're gone. They're leaving 10 minutes early to make sure that they get their bagel and their coffee down the road. It doesn't stick with them. And when these people are calling us the negative fans, I said it. I said, I bet you anything when we lost to Bournemouth 2-1, I said, I'll tell you who stayed in the stadiums at the end. DJB and Kenny and Aaron and the like stayed to the end. It's these ones that are saying that this is all fine that didn't, the so-called positive fans. But it's a touchy subject for me, Jez. But you know, and I know, and Normski knows, we all know that the football fan has changed. That's all well and good. I'm all for moving with the times. But football has lost its soul a long, long time ago. And when we're all dead and gone, I'm glad that I've seen a couple of young lads like Alfie and stuff like that on YouTube, 19, 20-year-old fans that have the exact same standards as us. Because that really is genuinely giving me a lot of hope seeing these young lads come along. There's not many of them. And it's nice to know that at least when we're gone, there will be a few of them still fighting the good fight. Because football should always come first. And it's just not the same sport. It's not the same passion. Players are in it for the money. And that translates into the crowd. You get the same sort of crowd in that want, you know, a lot of these people that the Arsenal fans that want Arteta in, it's because they idolise him, because they love the power he has and they love the way he dresses. And they love, what are you talking about, man? I don't care what my manager looks like. I like it. I want him to be classy. I like the way George Graham carried himself, like a gentleman, like a top man. But no, yeah, Jez, I will. No, I went on a bit, but it is something that really, really, really winds me up. Support the club how you want, but like you said, Jez, if you're going there to meet your friends, fucking go to the pub and give the ticket to someone else who wants it.
What right would I have to dictate to anybody how to support this club or any football club? Right? It's your choice of how you support your club.
Yeah.
God knows where you're from in this world. It's not for me to tell anybody how to support the club. Fact. It's totally wrong. This game has changed I believe, in a bad way. I mean, Normski, I mean, you know, it's a great comment here, man. It's a great comment here from Richard. In my opinion, all seater stadiums killed the atmosphere. I totally agree with that statement. I do, because it's now like going to the bloody cinema. Yeah. If you stand up.
Oh, can you sit down? I can't see. Yeah.
My last years of going to the North Bank, right? I think I've told you this. I have told this before. You know, I was sat with a good old mate of mine. We've been going to football for over 50 years together. And we'd had a few beers, fair play, okay. And you know what it's like at football. You can get a bit leery and a bit mouthy and all that. And I had this woman tap me on the shoulder behind me, right? In the fucking North Bank, right? And she says to me, excuse me, very posh, very nice lady. She said, do you mind not swearing? And I just looked at her and I went, what? She said, do you not mind not swearing? I've got my children with me. I said, love, we're not a fucking Twickenham. Mm-hmm. If you don't like it, fuck off. Yeah. And she went up to the steward, and this bloody steward came down to me and he said, look, mate, you've got to keep it down a bit. You've got to keep it down because we've had a complaint. And I said, are you having a fucking laugh? And he said, well, if you swear again, I'll have to kick you out. I said, well, you can fucking try it then. You know what I mean? I mean, Normski.
Yeah. Well, I'm not a swearer anyway. Just you know. I know you. But at the end of the day,
you'd never complain about someone else. You wouldn't complain about someone else.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, because it's passion. We get quite passionate really there, and that's what it is. I think it's about that whole, and everybody expresses the way they support their club in terms of if you win a game, oh, hey, give it that, give it some, you know, I mean, it depends on how you want to do it. But nobody should, like, you know, be dictating to you how you should support the club. And, you know, just sort of talking about the way football, modern football, compared to the football that we used to watch then. A lot of the football we see back then was played on the field, not on social media. Yeah, because on social media, it's played out on social media, and it's the hoity-toity, you know what I mean? It's all of that, and the whole thing I keep saying is that this club and Arteta have bred a culture of mediocrity, right? Which is stemming from I think it was Shane. You said it last night on Aaron's channel, that tweet that came out from the Arsenal about the expectation of of Arteta. That just tells you, don't worry, guys. Just enjoy the journey. It's not even about getting. Don't worry about it. We just keep going around in circles. Enjoy it. And you know, you heard it. Oh, at least we was competitive. Well, the thing is, all right, we're competitive, but what did we win? I'm still waiting. What did we win? You know what I mean? Yeah. We used to, you know, seeing our clubs lift trophies and enjoy the experience of going down. I remember going down. I mean, that 2006 still hurts me to this day. And we went down to the Ivory Tavern down. We went down that 2006. We was all in the pub, right? And mate, I'll tell you, when that Sol Campbell goal went in, right, I thought that pub was going to fall down. The floor was just rock. It was literally like a springboard, right? And listen, when Etu and what Almuna was doing, man, I'll tell you, I felt sick going home. I felt sick. Do you know what I mean? Because the chance, and then how many years later, you still haven't done it? 21 years now in trying to win a trophy. You know, I want to see a trophy before I leave this earth. I'm sure Shane, you know what I mean? We want to see, we just want to see a trophy. We want to see something. Let's win something. Get the winning mentality back into the players, because even saying that, because of the way they're thinking, they just think, well, we'll just turn up. If we just give it a go, yeah. If we compete, we compete. If we don't, we go again. So there's no pressure on them. But now the pressure is on them, and we're going to put that as the negative fans, the bottom gooners, if that's what you want to call us. We are expecting standards. People will call us, oh, you know, you're always entitled and blah blah this and whatnot. No, we just want standards. Yeah, so you can call us negative all you want. The fact is that you're more negative because you don't care about this club winning things. You're just happy. You're that's what it is. You're just happy to just be going on X and going on YouTube channels and chatting your rubbish. You know what I mean? And for me, I can't have this, and it's totally changed. And when you're I mean, like my son, he's 20 years old, yeah, and he said to me, Dad, right, he's 20, so he's that of that generation. He goes, why did you make me support Arsenal? He goes, why? Yeah. Because could you just let me go support another team, man? I just want to experience winning. Yeah, and I thought fair play to him. Do you know what I mean? Because he's listen, when he starts to have a go at those top gooners, yeah, because there's a guy that goes to the stadium, and as a matter of fact, the guy stopped talking to him because he goes, the Arsenal, Arsenal are not here, yeah, to win anything, yeah. We're going to these games and we're not serious. He goes, Arsenal not serious, and from then he's not texting back. It's going on probably a good 6 months. He goes, oh, that's no way. You need to back your club. You need to back your club. You can't talk like that about them. I'm thinking, boy, this is crazy. This is what we're dealing with. This is modern day fans. They're on another planet, bro. The way they think.
I don't call them real fans. And
no, they're not.
You've been to games, man. The game. You know, whatever. We don't have to talk about Arsenal. We can be any football club now. It's a different game now.
It is a different game.
It's way too expensive.
It's way too expensive. Now, I'm not being funny. I just looked up on my phone when you were chatting, right? So obviously we got Manchester United first game of the season, and is it Old Trafford? Yeah, is it Old Trafford? Right now, for two people, £105, right? And then obviously when you're sitting in different tiers along with Old Trafford, is £105. It says any section pair, then it goes up to a £5, £110, And then from there, it shoots up to 130 alongside upper tier. So that's their upper tier. Then no matter where, but the dearest ticket at Old Trafford at the minute is the longside centre lower tier 3 and 4. So you've got two tickets for 2 people, and that's for 270 quid. That's the dearest ticket at Old Trafford for 2 people to go and watch Man United versus Arsenal. And now when we look at that at the Emirates, yeah, 2 people in a certain in the centre lower tier is £270. That's the dearest tickets at Old Trafford for 2 people. I'm looking at it now, right? And now you think of it at the Emirates, how much do you reckon that'd cost?
Oh, it'd be more than that.
It'd be more than that. You'd be talking at least almost double. And it's like when when we've been on when I've been on your shows as well, Jez, going back last year and and this year and that. So it makes you think, since we've done that, right? Arsenal has put, right? They've put their ticket prices up by 26%.
Okay.
Do you remember us discussing this?
Yeah,
And
we did, yeah.
is wrong. Is absolutely wrong. And this is what I feel sorry for, is the likes of Aaron and Kenny Ken that actually pays for this, for their season tickets, yeah, and actually go and watch what we've got now. Finishing second.
Well, that's a very good point. Sorry, please finish. Go on, finish.
And then I was watching a video earlier today when I was in work, and believe it or not, is ex-Aston Villa player, Shane's going to love this, right? And it was on TalkSport, and it was Andy Townsend. They just literally thrown at him, and they said, right, what is your top 4 for this season? And he said, because it's the Grokeres sign, and he said, Arsenal's going to win the league. Yeah. Liverpool second, Man City third, because he likes the idea of Anthony Gordon, Ghana now, and Isaac up front, right? And Gamira's in midfield. He reckons Newcastle will be 4th. That's his top 4.
I'd take Arsenal, I'll put them all the way behind Newcastle and push that forward. It's Liverpool or City for the league. Newcastle will be 3rd. I even think Chelsea will finish ahead of us. If they get a keeper, they will.
Shane, you did a great show last night. Great show with DJB about the old retro shirts, right?
Yeah.
You've got one on tonight. I mean, that show you did brilliant, right? Back in the day, let's just say 1989. That's the season we're talking about, right? How many shirts did we have that season? How many shirts did we release?
2.
How much merch that season? We had a home shirt and we had an away shirt.
Yeah. Right. I think 95, 94 was when we first got a 3rd shirt. 95 might have been the first time we had a 3rd shirt.
Probably right. I don't know.
I think it was around that time. I think we had and it might have just been for Europe or something.
It's like every fucking month we release something else. Yeah. Training kit, right? Training kit. And who the shit wants a training kit? Who the shit wants that, man?
Yeah.
You either get your home shirt or your away shirt. If you, I mean, I won't buy anything personally, but I've had shirts bought for me, even though I've told people not to buy me shirts. I don't want to pay their money, but now it's just every single month something comes out, and it always seems to me that it's released. This different bullshit is released when we're doing shit.
Yep.
It's excuse after failure after failure, right?
Yeah.
And we never used to do that as a club, but we're going to wrap it up shortly because I know Normski, you've got to go and do stuff. I don't know, man, where this club's gone. I don't know. It's not the club I once fell in love with, but I still love them, but they ain't the same to me anymore. Seriously. But I've got one more comment here. Jez, you're a real fan. Unlike that woman called Princess Kuna and Julian, who lied about going to Anfield in '89 and about flowers. We can learn a lot. Yeah, well, they are bullshitters, man. They're pure bullshitters.
Jez, what's their reason? What's their reason for that? What do they get to gain from saying
Arsenal are the big ticket for social media. They're the most followed team on social media in the world. Because you get most traction out of Arsenal. That's the big ticket. That's why if you're an Arsenal YouTuber and you do it for that reason, you have the most chance. Your man Pincus supported QPR as a kid. Robbie Lyle supported Luton as a kid. Moneypenny supported United as a kid. And these are the big ones. These are the big ones. You know, we have that Pincus lad who said, with all seriousness, that an average player today would have been as good as Pele. And people are taking his football opinion. An average player would be as good as Pele.
Are they for real?
That's what he said. And there's 500,000 kids on his TikTok that listen to what he says about this club. He said that Jamie Vardy was better than Drogba. These are just the ones I've found. He says things like this all the time. And these people are taking his football opinion. Because what? Because he looks good in the new merch. Because he talks with a bit of a geezer accent, and they all think he's cool, and he's a bit of a how you chappy. You know what I mean? We have Robbie Lyle there taking down the videos they did with Thomas Partey's lawyer. Either you stand by it or you don't, mate. You know what I mean? Don't be such a coward. You know what I mean? Don't be such a coward. So that's the problem. And I've had people come into my chat. Someone came in and said, so someone had commented saying, Shane, your channel's growing. And someone said, it's very easy to get it grown when you're doing all this negative thing. It's the other way around, mate. If I had all the thumbnails with Rodrigo and the Arsenal jerseys and all that, and just lied all the time like some of them, you'd shoot through the window. I don't do it for that. I do it to be like-minded people, like Jezza and yourself.
That's what I'm saying. You're organically growing your channel, and the problem is that our motives is that we want to see the standards come back. That's our motive.
That's it.
Primarily our motive. If you do well out of that, Jez,
it's a bonus.
Jane, it's a bonus.
Yeah.
It's just a bonus.
Yeah.
But they're chasing the clout. So when you chase the clout, it then means that you're gonna have ulterior motives in terms of how
your integrity goes out the window. Your integrity goes right out the window.
Exactly. Do you know what I mean?
It's a joke now. It just shows to me that this club is no longer a football club. It's just a business.
It's a business.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. And that's unfortunately because we've got American owners.
I said I called it a business in a press conference recently.
It's an enterprise. That's what it is now. It's bullshit after bullshit after bullshit. But we're going to wrap it up.
£120 for an Arsenal top this season. It's called an authentic Arsenal jersey, and it's 120 quid.
And the kids one is 100. The kids one is 100, I think.
Yeah.
For your kids, and they're the ones that you have to buy for.
I swear down, I'd hate to have kids of a young age now. Because if you've got a couple of boys, right, 10, 11, that's 240 quid. Well, I know kids.
That's just for the home jersey. That's just for the home jersey, Jez. Yeah. They might want the away one. They might want the training top.
The away one. Then they want the. Then they want
the win the dog Teddy. That's £25.
All this I mean, gosh, you need another mortgage nowadays.
No. I mean, it's like my son. He's 10 in August. Right, he said he wants the Arsenal kit for Arsenal top for his birthday. Now, not being funny, for his age, you're talking what? I think it's 80 quid, 85 quid for his age.
85.
And I turned around and I said, well, I'm not being funny, mate, but if you want that, I can get you it. But there's nothing else you're going to already be having for your birthday, apart from another 15. So I spend about £100 for him on his birthday. You know, you've got to have a cut off somewhere.
You have to have a limit.
Yeah, you've got to have a limit. And he said, well, I just don't want two presents. I said, well, you will if you want the Arsenal shirt. I'm sorry, but, that's the way it is.
That's fair enough. That's fair enough, and that's a good lesson as well. I'd be the exact same. If they want something like that, I go, well, that's it. And, and it's a good lesson for them as well.
Yeah.
Fact. I mean, True says, I think there's an attendance map for the Anfield 89. Look, I've caught out so many liars. Right, that Princess Schooner, I caught her out before we wrap this up, and I said to her, whereabouts in the ground were you? And she said, I was in the lower terrace over in the north stand. You got the Cop, Anfield Road, north south. Yeah, and I said, how the fuck did you get in there? And she went, well, I got a ticket in there. I said, did you? All right. I didn't know any Arsenal fans could get in there. And bless her, that isn't terrace, it's seating.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's terrace, it's not seating. back in those days, it was Terrace, and that absolute prick, Julian, when he left an A-level exam to get the bus from Highbury up to Anfield. Yeah, sure you did, fella. Because the A-level exams in 18 didn't start until June, and this was in May. So,
yeah,
you're a
fucking Friday night as well.
It's terrible, isn't it? So, people, if you want to send in your super chats to Jez, send in your super chats now. We can get him this for Christmas. It's £25. It's Win the Dog.
Win the Dog.
Right,
Yeah.
this is on the official Arsenal website. Right,
the whole aisle full of them in the army. The whole aisle full of them. £25. Like a whole aisle full of them in the army.
If not, we can actually and for £4, Jez, you could buy a fucking light bulb. So it's up to you which ones you want to get, a dog or a light bulb. 150 for lemons.
Yeah, let's get a lemon and a light bulb.
About a year ago, I think, now. Anyway, people, we're going to wrap it up. We're going to wrap it up, man. Shane, thank you for coming on, my friend. As always, your channel
always
brilliant. I love your morning shows. I don't always catch them live, but I always catch them on catch up. What you got coming up, my friend?
Yeah, I'm on later tonight on my channel with views for the show we do together, Clean Through 1-on-1. I think I might be on with Northside then late tonight, and then obviously tomorrow morning's the full Irish. And yeah, the full Irish every morning at 10:30. But yeah, no, absolute pleasure, Jez, absolute pleasure, and to share a screen with the lads as well. And the chat's been brilliant. I love looking back on the older stuff. You know, I love looking back on the older stuff, and I still get. When you think of it, like the Michael Thomas goal, you still get goosebumps when you think about it. Proper goosebumps, not the Arteta goosebumps, real goosebumps.
Nice.
I will always say this, and I'll finish on this. He must have been the only man on the planet at the time that had the composure to take 2 or 3 touches on that ball. No one else would have taken 2 or 3 touches to wait for the keeper to go down, and then with all that pressure. Madness, absolute madness. But this has been wonderful, Jez. I've really enjoyed it. Thanks.
Yeah, no, it's good. It was good. It's good.
Now, this comment here is classic where people don't listen, right? No, the Anfield Road stand was single tier. I didn't say she was in. She said she was in the North stand, right? Right. That was not the Anfield Road end. The cop faces the other way. Anfield Road faces the other way, and it's a single tier. Back then, terrace. The quadrant in the corner is where the Arsenal fans were, right? She said she sat in the lower tier at the Anfield North stand. It wasn't seating, it was terrace. Up above that was seating, bit like how it was at Highbury. And so, you know, come on, man, just listen to what I'm saying. Yeah, let's put it right here. Let's put it right here. Yeah, I mean, you may have been there. I went there loads of times, man. So fair play to you.
He's apologized. He's apologized,
Jez. He's apologized.
Yeah. Sorry.
Fair enough.
He went surgeon.
Fair enough. I'll get you.
Jimbo's a dude, man. Jimbo's a dude.
Just listen to what I'm saying, man. Normski, what you got coming up, my friend?
Yeah, so tonight I'll be on with Northside. I should see you be there as well, Shane. I'll see you there tonight, 10 o'clock, I believe. And tomorrow, my show, What's Going On podcast, we'll be looking at the old transfer windows and looking at all our various teams, Man United, Chelsea, Tottenham, and just having a chit chat for a couple of hours. And then and then the Bruised Banana show, which I'll be looking forward to on the Thursday. So it's all gold, mate. It's all gold.
Yeah, good show that. I love that show. I love that show, man. Big up Lawrence, man. Morning, lads. Friday, 26th May, 1989. Will live with me forever. Best effing weekend of my life. Big up, my friend. Big up, Lawrence. Hope you're feeling better, buddy. Yeah. Anthony, my friend. What shows you going on? What are you doing? What are you up to?
Well, tomorrow we got the Good, the Bad, the Ugly show, which is on Hammers Football TV with Tony himself, who's a West Ham fan, Fuzzy, who's Man United, and obviously me, that's Arsenal. I do like that show because the where their teams are, I just love ripping the piss out of them, and it makes my job more easy. So you know, that's one of the other things. Also, I'm on the Arsenal Alliance. on Thursday night with the biggest flip flop on YouTube, which is Lee, and obviously Lawrence. Yeah, he's there. He makes an appearance on there as well, Lawrence. So we have him. So good old lad. And then on Sunday, I suppose I'm on with the Sunday night takeaway with you, Jez, if you're on there this weekend. So
Yeah.
and I might be on with the Yeti this week as well, depending if he's doing a show or not.
Not the Yeti. Oh my
Not the
days.
Yeti.
Ryan says Anfield Road's opposite the cop. Yeah, it's the opposite end, man. The SKD stand opposite the main stand where the players come out of the tunnel. In modern times, people work by picturing things. Big up, cheers. Big up, man. Big up. Yeah. You know, been there several amount of times I've been to Anfield. Great place to go. I used to love Goodison Park. Anyway, that's what I'd love to go to the new Goodison ground, but Everton ground.
Oh, I've been past that.
Yeah,
Jez. I've been past that stadium. I've been past Everton's new stadium.
Nice.
Yeah. It was because they were because what it is, my missus, she got relatives in Liverpool, so we boarded on this train on the platform. As we were going past, I was like, bloody hell, that's the Everton new stadium there. So basically, it was all built out, but they didn't have the badge or anything out on the outside. It was just literally just built by then. So I'm there with my phone, taking pictures and that sort of thing. But I tell you what, it does look big. It looks massive. I believe that's is it a 60 odd or 70,000 capacity? It's something like 60 odd thousand, I think it is.
5,000, isn't it?
Yeah.
They're keeping Goodison as well. That's a touch of class to keep Goodison.
Yeah.
Giving it to the ladies.
Yeah. So it is a bit. In all fairness, it is a big old stadium. It's a big.
They've a massive fan base. They'll fill that, no problem. They've been massive.
Yeah, I think it might be a 50,000 seat stadium. I think.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Big. It's huge. It's a big ground for them. Anyway, people, we're out of here. Thanks everybody for coming on. Oh, there you go. Jimbo says the new ground is 58,000.
There you go. It's quite big. Yeah.
Yeah, that's but these teams they're catching us up, man. You know what I mean? They're catching us up. Yeah. You know, we need to win something, man. We're gonna have to
no. Come on, we have to knock down the Emirates and build another stadium now. That's what we did.
They're going to build.
They're on about raising it by 20,000, aren't they? The Emirates.
Right. Yeah.
So we can look at another 10, 15 years.
That's how Arsenal roll, mate. No, come on. The narrative's going to be we're going to knock down the Emirates to build another stadium to compete in Europe.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's got to be 100,000 seater. 100,000.
I've never heard that before. And we're going to put the ticket prices up by
the next
50%.
narrative, mate. The new one. I've said it first. You heard it here first. That'll be the new one, right?
Thank you.
Shane, Normski, Anthony, thanks for joining. Thanks for your input. It's been a great show. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Take care, everyone. We're out of here. Have a great evening, and I'll probably see you later on Normski. I'll see you on with
Northside.
Take care. Take care, everyone. We're out of here.